a cold winter's night in Newfaire. Amid the smoke-choked network of houses and homes that the up-and-coming wealthy now call their own, the Sidle. Drifting flakes of snow fall over the gaslit streets, their faint flicker casting a dim glow amidst the misted air. The glow isn't enough for clear vision on this cold winter's night, but it carries a comforting present, like the distant stars scattered across the sky, reassuring even the most paranoid hearts during the long nights. The camera lingers on these glowing lights, adorned with festive garlands, mistletoe, and ribbons that sway gently in the winter breeze. Their fragile warmth feels like a lighthouse in the storm-tossed sea. We watch as this camera view pans slowly to a modest home, nestled between the larger residences. Warmth emanates from inside, spilling a faint amber light onto the frosted window pane. The scene shifts. As we cross the threshold into the home, passing through the fogged glass to reveal a quiet bedroom. A woman sits perched on the edge of a small bed, her dark hair streaked with touches of grey, like pages of a book worn with time. Her hands are steady, tucking blankets snugly around a young boy, and in his hands he clutches a wooden soldier, its painted features chipped but still proud. The glow of the nearby fireplace flickers warmly, filling the room with life, but the sharp chill of the night lingers. Carried on the gusts that whisper through the windowsill cracks, the woman glances at the frosted pane as a bare branch taps against the glass, stirred by a growing winter wind. At first, her lips curl into a smile, a reminder of the festivities to come and the promise of another white Yuletide. And then her breath catches. Her smile fades as her attention sharpens, her gaze drawn to the fog of condensation now marking every exhale. The chill seems deeper, heavier. As though the cold itself were pouring into the room, each breath leaves her lips uneven, ragged. The fire's crackling grows distant. The quiet hum of a sleeping boy fades, replaced by the faintest sound of laughter. It begins as a child's giggle, light and playful, but it twists, darkening with each echo until it reverberates with something unnatural. The woman stiffens, her back straight, eyes wide. The laughter calls to her, teasing, beckoning her into the night, a sound so vulnerable, so desperate it tugs at her heart, a child's cry for warmth, for a mother's comfort. How could she ignore it? She rises from the bedside, hesitates briefly, and grabs a lantern. Her hands tremble as she lights it, the flames glow very steady in the still air. Casting one last glance at her son, now fast asleep, she steps into the frigid night. We follow her, focusing on her breath, fogging the air with each step. Her boots crunch in the fresh snow as the camera pans low. Following the swaying lantern in her hand, shadows stretch long across the street, twisting unnaturally under the flickering light of these gas lamps. She pauses, glancing back at the house just for a second. The camera shifts to her face as something crosses her vision. A flicker of movement, too fast, too fleeting. Her breath quickens. A low howl of wind kicks up, throwing a flurry of snow around her feet. The sound grows louder, the laughter sharper, and then, without warning, we watch as a clawed hand lashes out from the shadows. The camera focuses on the lantern as it smashes to the ground, its flame extinguished in an instant. The woman's scream pierces the night, echoing the walls of the silent homes. The final shot lingers above, on the snow, as crimson streaks mar its pristine surface, a stark bleeding wound in the soft white. The drag marks of her body trail into the shadows. For a moment, all is still, save for the faint sound of giggling, light, twisted, and fading into the night. The snow falls steady in the early hours of the morning, blanketing the cobblestones of the Sidle in soft white. Gas lamps flicker weakly, their glow reflected in the icy patches forming along the edges of the streets. The neighborhood is eerily quiet, save for the occasional bark of a distant dog or the muted murmurs of worried neighbors watching from behind frosted curtains. Our circle arrives. No time for a quick briefing at HQ. Stepping from each carriage or braving the cold streets on foot, their breath fogs the air once more. The warmth of Yuletide decorations, ribbons, wreaths, and small garlands strung across doorways feels out of place against the tension in the atmosphere. As you collectively gather and approach the house, you're greeted by Inspector Theodore Kettering, the Periphery's liaison for the investigation. He stands just outside the broken front gate, a tall, imposing figure partially shrouded by the rising mist. His dark officer's uniform, once pristine and crisply buttoned, now a contrast with the worn expression on his face. His sharp grey eyes scan the investigators, lingering briefly on any occult symbols or tools they carry. Circle? It's about time. I trust you've been briefed. And this is where we left off.
Well, unfortunately, I'm afraid we have not been briefed. Could you tell me who would have had to brief us about what has happened?
Oh, I thought you would have time. We've kept the scene intact. Damned if I know what to make of it, but it's not natural. Just don't make a spectacle.
Oh, I would never, of course. Neither would my compatriots, no? Tell me, Inspector, what is the most shocking thing you have found before we, of course, investigate the scene itself?
He sort of moves his hand to one side, gesturing towards the house. And you can see that they've set up, much like most crime scenes, small white tents to perhaps obscure things from view. And he's just gesturing there before he looks back. I didn't think anyone would have that much will. She dragged herself all the way back. And he just stood there, hand outstretched.
Well, I'm sure we can find some answers for you, for the victim, the family. You seem a little bit unwell, but the sight, perhaps it is best you see your family, your wife, your kids, your husband, whoever is at home for you.
There's no time for that. We've got to find these kids. It's the fourth one this week.
I kind of look over to my companions to see if they know anything about extra kids missing, because this is news to Justine.
Who's the Vic? PA?
Greta Abernathy.
When was she found? Found by?
Just one of the lamplighters in the early morn.
You said there's other missing kids. Say back when? First one?
Whole month. Started small, just one or two, and now there's more, and murders to boot.
And
A
you are
pattern to these?
certain. Excusez-moi. You first.
Has there been a pattern to it? Is it on a certain day? Or have they
Always-
just been at random?
Always at night. Almost like the bastard doesn't want to see the light of day.
And how are you so certain that these kidnappings are connected? What has been the overarching method?
You see, he reaches into his coat, pulls out a flask, takes a big swig, shoves it back in. It's like a damn animal. I don't even think Satan himself could do stuff like this.
Well, no point lingering, I suppose. Gentlemen, shall we go?
Preserve the scene. But we'll need, as you know, our own access without people hovering around.
Say no more. Say no more. As always, I'll keep the press off your backs. Just
Appreciate.
please.
Oh,
And he sort of
Thank you.
steps to the side to let you past.
Jack will flick his cigar before entering the building, just like into the street, and then make his way in.
Very nice.
Gustus looks around at everyone and everything before entering, almost like he doesn't want to enter, or he's trying to see if people notice him walk in.
Okay.
Darling, don't be frightened. There's nobody going to come for us, I assure you. Come, let's go. And I can follow behind Jack and go inside.
I'll linger towards the back and just keep an eye out as we're walking in, just to see if
Sure.
there's anyone shifting on the edge.
Yeah, absolutely. You sort of make your way past the white tents, and you can see a long streak of blood moving back up the steps. As you walk into the house, notice a wreath has been knocked askew, and those drag marks of blood just continue in. Inside, the warmth of that fireplace has done little to banish the chill that lingers in the air. And on the low table near the hearth, half-finished sewing projects lie abandoned, threads dangling like forgotten strands of memory. Whoever was first in, as you sort of walk in, your eyes are drawn immediately upwards, and you can see large claw marks are gouged into the walls and the frame of a shattered window. And Kettering sort of sidles in next to you guys, swigging from that flask. Greta Abernathy, seamstress, widow. A boy, Jamie's missing, 6 years old. And he holds a little bit of vomit. and then just departs to get some fresh air.
Well, it seems we have a truly horrific case on our hands. I've seen many things, but these claw marks, this seems so deep, so monstrous. I think the investigator is right. This is no mere wild beast. This seems so much more.
Indeed. And just gonna kind of move out the way to allow other people in, but we'll then just kind of like try and observe the whole scene and get like a rough idea of sequence of events, what happened.
Okay. What's everyone else doing?
So with the blood and claw marks, do they come in through the main door? Or is it like they've come through a window, that sort of thing?
They did say a window is broken.
Yeah,
so
from what
my
you can
guess
tell,
is the window.
They're all over
Okay.
the ceiling, and then there's a shattered window with more gouge marks in it.
Okay. I'll probably, after hearing what the others are going through, I'll make my way outside and see from the outside of that window, see if there's anything of note around it.
Okay.
More claw marks leading off to tracks, that sort of thing.
Augustus wants to go look at Jamie's room to see if anything peculiar stands out there.
Alright. I'd say for Jack and Luther, if you want to do a survey,
Yep.
you can.
Okay.
Obviously, this is a very low stakes. There's nothing on the line.
One drive. It's a 5.
Really good. I got double 5s as well.
Oh, I need to try the other one. I don't know. Yeah, double 5.
So from the outside, you can see that the window has been shattered inwards, because all the glass shards are on the floor and not on the outside. You also see some faint claw footprints lead sort of around, back and forth, and then they vanish a few meters away. You can tell that they are unnaturally deep, so something a lot heavier than a person. On the inside, alongside with noticing that the window's been shattered inwards, you can also see that one of the fireplaces has been relit in an effort to sort of bring some warmth to the room. But there's still that really unnatural chill, and you can still notice your breath is fogging more than usual. And like a deep, heavy sense creeps into your chest. In Jamie's room, on the bed lies a small wooden marionette. Sort of puppet. Its strings are frayed and its painted smile is almost eerily wide.
I wonder if the boy did this trying to save himself, or if the creature did it when he was trying to get the boy. I go report my findings to the rest of the party.
I leave the proper investigation of claw marks and other forensics to my companions, and I go over to the, did you say embroidered or knitted, the craft of the woman, Greta?
Yeah, it's just knitted things that have been left.
I pick them up and a pity. She seems very talented. I investigate. I feel, perhaps I can feel still a trace of her. And if not, I put it back where it is.
There's nothing for you to sense. Any remainder of a soul or a spirit or some sort of energy has been eliminated from this place.
Did they recover the body? Where do we find her? They mention where it was.
As you're looking around, you look up and follow the rest of the claw marks, and there, in the corner, hanging like a broken doll, you see Mrs. Abernathy.
Macabre. Well, we found Greta. Anyone volunteer to get her down? You see, I'm very short.
Jack, do you want to get one side and I'll get the other? Just to make sure she stays intact as much as possible.
Yeah.
I'd say between the two of you, you do manage to lift her and very gently, ceremoniously, you lower her onto the floor. Now that she's there, you can see deep symmetrical wounds across her back, and her hands are frozen mid-clench, clutching at the fabric on her dress.
It is almost as if the perpetrator fashioned her as some sort of marionette, too. It seems an odd coincidence, perhaps coincidence, but disturbing nonetheless.
Very
We're talking a
disturbing.
normal murderer, it'd be a calling card.
Yes, that's
You're not
I fucking
wrong.
hate dolls.
I kneel down next to Greta and I slightly brush the hair out of her face to get a good look at her expression. And I see if I want to check if I see anything interesting beyond the obvious. Like we see.
Are you looking from an observational standpoint or from a more occult standpoint?
Occult.
So I need you to make a sense roll for me.
Alright. Wrong button. I'm going to spend a drive. I have a gilded 5 and a 6 and a 5.
Are you taking the gilded or are you taking the...
No, I'm taking the 6.
Okay. Almost as soon as you touch her head to sweep that hair away, it's not like you're touching cold. It's like it radiates up your bones. There's still some bleed around her wounds.
This is whatever got her. It was brutal. I've never felt such a cold before. I would advise you, if you handle her, to be cautious. I don't know how much you could. If you could be harmed. There is a lot of energy still around her. That is not to be trifled with.
Like, is looking at the body and where it came from and around, and like, say, trying to piece together a sequence of events and things. Burning an intuition using one of my abilities. What does he notice about the cuts she said were symmetrical? Or what does he notice that other people haven't yet?
So in terms of the symmetry of the cuts would mean that they all came from one origin point. So you can tell that this is probably a claw, a deep, ragged gash of fingernails. Obviously, you know that something would have to be powerful enough to pin her permanently to that place in the ceiling. And would also need either to be very big or to be agile enough to move about across the ceiling. It bears some similarities to things you might have read of in the different archives for the Circle, but doesn't really bring... There's nothing notable that you've seen at the moment.
Perhaps we can find some more things about Greta herself. Maybe where she hangs around. Perhaps she had a job, a favorite pub. Something that we can find some more traces about her. After, of course, we have investigated here.
Find out her patterns.
You did say that there were, like, claw marks or foot marks outside, right?
Yes.
We could also look at those and see how long we can follow them until they disappear.
Sounds good.
I can help out with that. Don't mind leading the way on that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, whoever does want to lead that way in terms of tracking the footprints, that will be a survey.
I'll go for it one. Let's just remove the drive.
Can I help with that by kind of, while he's tracking the footprints, like looking to see where the next ones are, like as so distance away rather than close up?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a 3 and a 4 on my side.
Okay. Tracking through the snow, especially after it's been laid on top of, that is quite difficult. But you two together, you do manage to sort of track it, and you track it quite well. Luther, can you describe to me what the mental strain of tracking would start to pick at you.
It would be sort of going back to the incident with his wife, and he'd be thinking about the kids, and he'd be going along thinking, if I don't find them soon, I'm never going to find them. And he's going to be looking around, kind of over-analysing, kind of like brain fog in a way. So he's going to be trying to concentrate, but he's going to have so much going through his head.
Okay. So you are going to take a mark of brain. But you do lead your companions in the direction, and you are able to every now and then spot heavy indentation in the snow. And yes, the freshly new-fallen flakes are obscuring your ability to make a pattern of it, but once you have a direction, it almost helps you see that pattern. It doesn't take long. And skip past that. You walk down the sort of main street following these footsteps. They seem to go down an alley and then reappear and then disappear, almost as if this thing was potentially running over houses. Eventually you reach a set of iron gates, which is the entrance to Crestfield Park. It's a neatly kept patch of greenery surrounded by iron fencing, and during the day it's a place of laughter and play. But in the early hours of this morning it feels wrong. There's no kids playing in the park.
Are you all right, Luther? It seemed to take a toll on you.
Just find it hard to concentrate sometimes. Just get a little bit wrapped up.
Is it
Oh,
your
no.
wife?
Yeah. I know all too well, if you don't get on it straight away, there's very little chance you find someone that goes missing. It's been a while.
I know. Just remember, it is not your fault.
I tell myself that every day.
As do I. Well, what do we do with a monster that walks the roofs? I don't know if any of you have a broom, so we can fly, but I certainly do not. Though others may pretend I do, of course.
No brooms for me. But the fact that it led us to the park, I almost have a feeling that this is how it finds the kids that it's abducting.
Ooh.
Especially if there's been
It's
4
hunting
this
ground.
week. Yeah.
You hear a soft shuffling from behind you. And as you turn to look, you see the quite broad-shouldered but hunching and lanky figure of Theodore. Sort of following after you, rubbing his hands. See, he reaches again for the flask, shakes it, swears a little bit under his breath.
I take my flask out, take a swig, and offer it to him.
Takes it from me for a moment, giving you like just a knowing nod. Is this where it went?
It seems so. Where were the other children last seen when they were taken? Do you have any information on that?
Their homes, or at least most of them. The first ones were sleeping on the streets, so not much comfort up cardboard box, you know.
And these homes, were they in the same area?
Yeah. Yes. I guess. In a way, yeah.
Like a mile or two radius from this park, or in one general direction?
Oh no, further than that. But all the roads come here. They're the only ones that don't end. You know, the hoity-toities in their tall towers thought it would look nice to have a spider web from a central point and lovely bit of greenery to brighten up the place.
Very bright in here, yes. Was there any other sort of connection between these children? Were they poor families, rich families? You had one sleeping on the street?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even know her name.
Who reported her missing?
A woman who owned a bar not too far from here. Apparently she's got a soft spot for the little ones.
Okay.
How old have all the children been? Are they all same age, different ages?
None of them reached their teens, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. No.
You see,
Trying to find a pattern.
he goes to distance himself a little bit, sort of handing the flask back. But just before he turns away, there's like a moment. He pauses for a minute.
Well, what's on your mind, PA?
I didn't think much of it at the time, but neighbour kids mentioned seeing lights here earlier in the week. In the gestures over to a large tree, sort of roughly in the centre. He said there was strange lights dancing in the snow. If you ask me, I thought they were on spice, but I don't know.
Oh. You know, us. It's, nothing really should be dismissed. We've seen some. But yeah. And just kind of like grunts and walks over towards the tree to start examining it, see if there's anything of interest around on it, anything like that.
You see, just before you do, Kettering like gets out this key and unlocks the gate for you. You notice that he's very hesitant to cross the threshold himself.
I push him.
Just stumbles a little bit, looking a bit sheepish.
I wonder if it is purely fair, or perhaps he knows something more than he is letting on.
I think he knows something more than what he's letting on. Smartest
yeah.
criminals are always so close to the law.
I'll put my hand over Theodore's shoulder and kind of just bring him in to the area, just to see what his reaction would be.
Justine, can you make a read for me?
Of course. That is a 6. And 2 2s. So I spent a drive and I'm very happy with that.
With a 6, you've had your fair share of dealing with men and their lies. You like to think that you can see right through them. And you can, most of the time. Theodore isn't hiding anything. Anything nefarious. But he is crippled with fear. More than he should be if this spooky side of things is new to him. Which leads you to believe that perhaps this isn't the first time.
I put my hand on his shoulder, kind of comforting, sort of, and I get really close to him and I say, "Dear Theodore, you are so stressed out. Is it so unnerving for you? This is the first time, I assume, you see something of this scale, of this paranormal, or not?"
Yeah, it's weird stuff.
So nothing ever happened on the force that really startled you as much as this does, no?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, it is, of course, I would like to look out for the people that experience the paranormal for the first time, because it can leave quite a mark on you, if you know what I mean. But I don't suppose you would know about that, this being your first time, of course.
Make a sway.
Okay. Oh, that's a 3. Oh, no, take lowest. That's a 1.
Okay. You see, sort of shoves you back a little bit. Look, you're here to solve the case, alright? We don't need to dive into my shit. I ain't seen nothing like this before. Just fix it.
Of course, no problem. And I back away, and I kind of look away as if nothing happened, slightly ashamed of my failure.
You see, he points at Jack. But keep her on a leash. You have 24 hours, mate. Otherwise I'll lock all of you up. And he just walks.
I just kind of staring down, don't really say anything back.
He leaves you. Sort of boots trudging in the snow as you watch that coat sort of flapping. In another life, would have made a very imposing, very stoic officer. But after this revelation, maybe not so much.
Ever making friends, Justine?
Now, why would a respectable officer such as Theodore threaten to lock us up?
Because he has something to do with it. He doesn't want us to get close, not find out, but know that he had something to do with it.
He may just have his own shit going on that he doesn't want us to find out about.
Perhaps. It would be very shameful if his personal shit would be involved with the missing children, no?
Indeed. And if he is, he may not get the chance to lock us up.
Okay. So what's the plan, boys?
3. I'm looking for bleed with my bleed detector pocket watch.
As you get closer to this vast oak tree, you do see that dull glow begin to form the closer you get. Describe to me what your detector looks like.
It's fairly simple silver pocket watch. That if you wanted to use as a pocket watch would not work at all. It's like it's broken, doesn't tick or anything. However, in the presence of bleed, the hands move to kind of like almost like a compass directing towards any bleed. And then like the long hand and short hand kind of like work like dowsing rods to
Amazing.
narrow it down.
Yeah. You sort of walking straight towards the tree still, because you're focused completely on those two hands. They're now vibrating. Standing there, beneath a thin layer of snow, you notice a series of intricate symbols have been carved into the frozen ground. Ooh, that key change. Sorry. The markings pulse faintly with like a soft bluish light. In the daytime, unless you were standing right on top of it, you would never notice they were there. They almost look like frost when it catches moonlight.
I point them out to people and kind of like connect the dots almost.
So do you think this is a trigger of some sort?
I think it's something that's not normal, and that means it's our job to deal with it.
Is this something I could use the decontainment file on? Or is this too big?
Probably too big.
Okay. I figured. Worth a shot. could I maybe try to contain a section of it rather than the whole thing to try and break the runes? Because a broken sigil is not going to work, is it? He thinks to himself.
Describe to me how you're gonna break this part away.
I think, is it like a circle of runes, or is it?
Mhm.
So he'll basically take the containment vessel and he'll slam it into one of the corners and just hope that the containment holds. And then he's going to kind of wrestle it together and just hold it as tight as he can, just to hope that something happens.
Yeah, make a strike. I will say this is a medium difficulty, which is the standard, but just making you aware.
That's a... No, that's a 6 and a 4. And then my guild is a 3.
Let me have a look. So, as you sort of slam it down, you watch as a bunch of that ice just swoops up. And in one movement, you're able to clamp it shut. You have a sample. The runes still glow. You can see where you've slammed that mark, it just flickers. Almost like it's an electrical current trying to make that connection again.
I'm going to do something that could potentially be very stupid and dangerous, but I suppose there are a couple of lives on the line. I see them trying to make another connection, and I would like to be that connection.
Okay.
And I would like to see if I can attune with the runes to find out if I can find their source, their maker, any information that is valuable to me.
Make a sense roll, and this is going to be a hard difficulty.
Okay. Extend your senses when you make a sense roll. I failed to do that last time. Add a number of dice equal to your current intuition resistance. Okay. Okay. I have a gilded 6, but I'm tempted to take the 5. I'm going to take the 5.
Okay. Describe to me what bleed feels like.
I see visions of Armand, a silhouette in the dark. I hear my own screaming as I find him, and I feel a chill similar to what I felt with Greta, going through my entire body, and a supernatural cold. I feel stiffened up, and it feels like I will never feel warmth ever again.
Okay. So you're going to take a bleed mark. But as you're standing there, you feel that cold moving through you. And if anything, you feel that sense of longing for Armand, that cold entering your heart. And any sane mind would think fear. You feel joy. It's not happiness, it's raw, it's pure. But doing that, you can tell this is an incomplete, even before Luther's interaction. It's an incomplete summoning for something. It's designed to create a bridge between two places, because you can feel yourself almost 1 foot in one and 1 foot in the other. And you can feel that humming with a hunger. You can tell that this is drawing on emotional energy. Specifically joy and fear to sustain itself. This is very linked to the disappearances. As you can probably tell, that raw joy is lost through life experience, usually. And would come from a source you're pretty sure you know what that would be.
With taking bleed damage, I can let them in, really open myself up to the occult. And I may ask the GM one question, additional question about the source of the bleed. And I am blanking on a question.
I'll let your compatriots ask one if they do have one that you think is good enough.
If anyone wants to jump in, I'm still thinking.
What about asking if it's familiar or trigger senses from?
Sorry, the last part cut
Rouse.
out.
Asking about like if it's from like you're getting the same sense here as somewhere else, maybe less than somewhere else, but here it's more amplified. So if it's like for transporting things, maybe there's another location that you can suspect it might be going to.
I will ask that.
Yeah. I would say that the way you feel that is that when you're standing in between those two places, metaphorically or literally, you feel the difference. One is that cold darkness and very much magic, potentially fey. The other one feels familiar and solid and grounded. You can tell this is more than likely Newfaire. But there is that shimmer. It's not always the same place. Almost as if there's another... You're in the park and then you're somewhere with metal. That contrast between nature and industry.
As I feel all these things, As soon as the feeling passes, I take my hands as if I burned them on a stove, and I need a second or two to recompose myself.
Okay. So that is our
Ye-
hour mark. We're gonna go to a quick 5-minute break. Go have a pee. Get our stuff ready. Think about things. We'll be back in a little while. All right.
Put my dice all back in their box.
Right. So we're back.
Literally, they were everywhere.
It's the worst.
So we're back. As you take that bleed and learn a lot. They're still stood around this tree.
After I recovered a little bit, I say, well, whatever we are hunting, it searches for joy, so I say most of us will be safe from this monster. Though I fear for a lot of people, especially during Yuletide, we must make haste. Someone is trying to summon this beast, and by the looks of Greta, I'd say they succeeded, at least in part. Who knows if they had fully been able to summon whatever it is they are looking for, what will happen in Newfaire.
It's going to be anti-Christmas. So instead of joy and happiness, it's going to be fear and loathing.
Yes, and we are so far away from Las Vegas. We don't want it here.
Not much joy to go around at the moment. People need as much as they can.
As you're all standing there, Jack, there's something faint on the wind. It's like a sense of dread fills your bones. But you can't think about that. Because the longer you've been standing there, there's a soft laughter in the wind of a child. A very familiar child.
It's
Augustus, you notice just for a second as the snow is turning, the longer you're standing in that circle, you see two figures, just for a minute, dart between some trees. And then they're gone, as if they were made of the snow. And Luther,
Why does it feel... Sorry.
It's alright. Luther, you feel paranoia. Someone made you come here. You don't deserve to be here. You should be out inventing things and making the world a better place, not looking at the dread and the dregs of humanity. But you all get the sense that the longer you're standing in this circle, these things are starting to creep and claw at your heart.
Is anyone else like fed up of this supernatural bullshit fucking with us? He kind of like just steps out the circle.
I'm kind of used to it at this point. I just feel like it's trying to bring our fears to life now.
Yeah, about you, Jack. What I could do with a drink. How about we check out that tavern?
Yeah, do it a top up. Tavern's a good place to find joy.
or drown the fear.
Exactly.
Perhaps we could look for something with a bit more metal, like a factory. I felt visions of great contrast between this park and another place that I was very momentarily. Though I do not know if a factory would give joy. Do you know of a factory in Newfaire that would bring joy or fear?
Might be a little bit on the nose, but toy factory maybe.
Hmm.
Do you know what?
Brings joy.
Just for the sheer nat 20 of an intuition. Luther, as you're saying that, you love to tinker. And you used to follow industrialists. As that comes out of your mouth, you know a bar. You know a bar that used to drown any sort of sorrow in. But the reason you liked it so much was because it sat opposite the main passage, the wayfare of travelers and people, and you could watch them from your perch in the bar that sits at the top of a building. Or at least that's what you told people. Because you liked looking at the shattered remains of a toy factory. In its day, once thriving and beautiful and a shining beacon of hope and joy to children and adults. And you like to think that if you made your legacy, not in toys, but of something that shining and that beautiful, yours wouldn't end. And that's what you'd think of. So yes, you know it.
One place definitely comes to mind. You can try it. Used to spend some time back there in the day. Could have been something great. It's a shame it's gone.
I trust you with all my
And,
heart, Luther. Let's go.
Yep. Lead the way, but don't get too far ahead.
I'll say a couple of paces in front of the others, but I'll lead them on.
And it doesn't take you long. And as you're making your way, Augustus, you give an odd side eye, as you usually do, just to check out potential prospects. As you leave the park, you notice some of the bars are bent and warped outwards. And you know something had come from the park and made its way out. Almost like the nail in the coffin of your thoughts.
Yeah, that makes just a little bit too much sense.
Luther leads you to the edge of the Sidle, where the tidy streets give way to the remnants of Newfaire's industrial past. The once thriving toy factory looms ahead, its silhouette jagged against the faint light. Snow blankets the crumbling structure, the frost glinting on shattered windows and rusted beams. And as the sound of the wind rushing through the broken walls hits you, it's that whisper. Doesn't seem to go away. Despite its disrepair, that factory feels alive. Once a place of joy and bustling work, it now stands abandoned, its walls covered in frost and soot. The windows are cracked and fogged, and the heavy iron doors hang slightly ajar, creaking in the cold breeze. The periphery pay no mind to who go in here. It's not worth their time.
So I will be looking for like kind of like the main entrance, the main way in, but also looking for that to avoid it, to find a back way in, a less upfront way in.
I can probably help with the back way in. I'm pretty good at breaking into places.
Sure. I'd say between the two of you, you'll very easily find your way. Another door. Equally broken, strewn ajar. Anyone can come here. Not that they would. You can see without even going in, the floor is strewn with broken toys and tools. And their once bright colours are now dulled with dust and decay. The scattered papers and forgotten ledgers clutter the remains of the workbenches. And there's a faint smell of old wood and rust lingering in the air. Luther, you pay a quick glance to the bar that you love so much. It just says Lycane's Loft and Luster. With a picture of a man like
two tankards either side.
yeah.
Jack,
This is definitely the place.
Oh, go on.
Go. No, no.
Uh,
you.
I'm going to pull out my revolver and start to go into the factory first. Kind of march in order that I would expect would be me, then Augustus, and then the civilians.
I'll probably tail on the back end to keep our backs covered. I'll do the same. I'll draw my revolver.
The main floor is expansive. Open space, high ceilings. There's like crisscrossed broken iron rafters. You can see the remains of conveyor belts. Littered toys in various stages of assembly. Wooden soldiers, dolls, spinning tops, puppets. But others appear warped, grotesque, twisted through unseen hands. Justine, without even needing to do anything, you feel the bleed. It's like a pulse, like a heartbeat.
I would venture to guess this is the place. Do you see those mannequins? Do they not awfully remind you of something we saw earlier?
Agreed. Let's keep our wits about us.
Standing in the middle of the factory, you can see off to one side there's a set of stairs and some windows, most likely an office, maybe the foreman's. But the rest of the space is open.
Jack will, I will make my way to that office in kind of like what seems like the most kind of used route, like the most sensible route, and on the way kind of like just kick a doll out of the way because they're fucking evil. Just, you know, not quite being stealthy, but not being kind of like super loud and announcing our presence, but kind of confidently, or the illusion of confidence going forward.
Okay. Yeah, you get to the office and you kind of push open the door. Even here, the air feels heavier. You can't tell if it's maybe your apprehension, fear, or if it's the space itself that just resents intrusion. Papers are scattered across the desk, and there's a safe in the corner that's partially open. Whatever was in there was removed long ago. And on the wall there's a faded photograph. Shows the factory owner. What a broad man surrounded by workers, very stern expression. I think it's a bit odd, given the toys are produced here.
Would we perhaps recognize this man? I don't know how long the factory has been closed. I do move in high society circles, of course.
You're not overly familiar, but you have heard of this man. He made a lot of money. Very successful, very beloved. There were some talks of how he became so loved. But everyone just seemed to prefer his toys. Maybe they were just better quality.
Would it be anyone that I would maybe know of being a regular at the bar across the road?
Again, not so much, more of reputation than anything.
Or okay, yeah, no worries.
I kind of look around to see if I see any recent movement. If I see disturbed dust, footsteps, whatever.
Doesn't seem to be anyone here.
Going to idly look through the papers that you said were on the desk. Again, trying to give the overall impression of kind of calm and like this is normal, but he's really feeling the atmosphere, so he's just kind of like, oh yeah, this is just like another job, but actually he's quite intently looking at the papers, but trying to perform a calm.
Yeah, make a survey. This is very low stakes.
Yeah. Remember to use my gilded this time. That's 4, not on the gilded.
There's a ledger. Details shipments and profits from past Yuletides. Most popular time of year. There's one page that mentions the new line of toys with enhancements. Novelty toys becoming very popular. Increasing returns during the holiday season. I will give you the choice. If you would continue, you would take a brain, but you will find something.
I didn't catch the second bit. Take a brain or...
You can take a brain, and you will
Yeah.
find something, or you can just leave it at that.
Just leave it. I'll continue.
You guys
Just
watch
quickly before
Jax
that
quite
happens.
expertly flicking through, very calmly, and in one swift movement, the drawer where he picked that out from, you see his hands move underneath it, and there's a little click, and he pulls a compartment. There's a schematic. And between you and Luther, immediately you can tell it's some sort of binding device. Your time in the circle might not have been long, it might have. But you, Luther, were already working on similar things, just testing out the occult. This would be a binding device that could anchor or disrupt Fey energy. So you will take a brain check, if you haven't already.
I just ask GM question for a second.
Yeah.
Out of character. With the behind me thing with phenomenon, is it only when we're dealing with a creature or something directly, or is it whenever they take a mark?
What does it say?
It doesn't. It doesn't. It just says when they're dealing with a phenomenon. Can't say the word. So it's whenever they're going to take a mark whilst investigating or dealing with phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
I can. Yes, I can't say the word. It's a tongue tie for me. I can basically step in, but I don't know whether it's only when we're dealing with something directly or if it's other bits.
What was it called?
Behind me. So you spend one nerve point for a chosen ally in the same scene who's about to take a mark from phenomenon. Then you describe what you do to allow you to take the mark instead.
You can do that, yeah. If you wanted to.
Okay. So, okay. I just want to check when it's actually applicable.
Any sort of phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
I think the only time it wouldn't would be maybe if they like jumped off a building. That's not really a phenomenon, is it? That's just being an idiot, like falling down a cliff, right, Ben?
Yeah. That's gonna come up so much when we.
For those that don't know, in a different campaign, Ben's character was like had me watch this moment and then fell down a cliff.
And almost died in the first episode.
First episode he was in.
Sick.
I had 3 health. I flipped off a cliff and landed next to a hag and almost died.
Very much a Keyleth moment. Where were we? So we've gone off on a. Oh yeah. You found the.
Jack pulled out the thing from the hidden compartment.
Secret drawer.
Amongst that, there's also various different references to another room. And as you're sort of looking around, Augustus, again, you're just constantly... It's more out of habit for looking for a score. You can't help yourself. You've cased this without even trying. And as they're sort of reading that out loud, you're already sort of, I'd say, like leaning against the wall, and there's a door right next to you. Just very casually.
Can I spend a intuition point to see how close to the door I actually am, or if I accidentally am on the door.
I wouldn't even say you need to spend. You're right next to it.
Okay.
Whilst they've been doing this, you've just been watching.
I just walk up to this wall.
No, you saw the door, and you're just waiting for them to realize that equally. Just feeling a bit smug in your expertise.
Do very enjoy stealing things, so
yeah, you guys are sort of all like peering over the blueprints, and you look up. Maybe there's even a. You just see Augustus is like pointing at the door.
Ah, yeah, that would do it.
That would be the door that we're looking for, or the room that we're looking for. So it sounds like the fucker is putting magic into kids' toys, or supernatural, paranormal shit.
do you know, that does remind me of that doll that Jamie had.
My darling pickpocket, did you bring it with you?
No, I'm not gonna touch that cursed thing. All I did was look at it.
Hmm. So scared of a cold. Fine.
I can go get it though. It's only like a 20-minute walk back.
Oh, we have
Doubt
a
anyone's at the
friend.
house.
Well, we'll include it in our report, and Candela can pick it up, or we can on our way back. Whoever gets there first.
I think we are at the point that we should go
Right.
proverbial guns a-blazing into this mystery room.
Hmm.
We might be very close on the coattails of our perpetrator.
I think we are.
Well,
I pull open the door the rest of the way since it only cracked open. Like, I'll go first unless anyone else wants to.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
Go there. I'll be right behind you. And
I'll
if he
follow
comes out,
after you.
dark.
As you enter, it's not quite as big of a room, but it's still pretty big. Shelves line most of the walls. It's very dark. There's a soft, glowing blue light at the end. You can see the curve of a circle in the floor. And
Let
in
me
the middle,
guess.
just resting against a crate, is a long metal rod with like a spiked end. And you can see it's also
The giant sewing
glowing.
needle.
No.
Justine, there's another magic circle in here. I yell out.
Would you like me to touch it?
If you wouldn't mind. If I touch it, I don't think anything would happen. I touched it anyway.
I step forward and I shudder in anticipation of coming pain. And I raise my hands up to it, or raise or lower or however. And I close my eyes to see if I can feel some residue of this occult circle.
So I'm gonna need another sense.
I will do that. That will be a 5. Yeah.
There's a visible pulse this time as her hands make contact. And it sort of reverberates out and then moves back in, kind of centers around this metal rod. Almost as if it's pulling it back in. Anyone who's sensitive to bleed, apart from Justine, you hear that soft laughter that twists into a scream. And the shadows just seem to flicker and dart.
This is
For those
bad.
that-
Go on.
For those that aren't, the thing you notice is the sound of rustling.
Can I touch the sewing needle to see if I can pull it out?
It's not a sewing needle. Yeah, if you want to.
Do you... What do you want me to roll for that?
You can just... You want to, you can just pick it up.
I pick up the rod. Sewing needle.
What does bleed like for Augustus?
I don't know. He doesn't really have any excruciating. He'll just bleed. So anything that he touches, if it's cold enough or just gives him shivers, it causes him to bleed. He has very sensitive skin.
So you're going to take a bleed mark.
Okay.
But you are holding this metal rod, not a needle. Luther and Jack, the others are busy. And you're sort of revolvers in hand, ready for action. You notice where the rustling is coming from. As Jack, you're peering at some of the toys, almost thinking back to the crime scene and Greta's body, and one of the marionettes moves their head in sync with yours.
I'm shooting that shit. Immediately shooting it.
Make a control for me.
Yep.
Luther, you would be equally as shocked by this if you were not. You're sort of moving quite tactically, walking backwards to make sure you can see everything in sight. And you bump into the metal figure. And as you turn to look, you can see a metal clockwork soldier. They're meant to be about the same height as a kid, sort of to make it look more impressive. It's holding a gun with a bayonet as its hands sort of reach over and pull you in.
I attempt to like knock it down as it does that, like try and flip it.
Sure. So that will be a...
Strike.
If you're trying to knock it down, it will be a strike, yeah. Jack, how did we do?
I got a 4 on my gilded dice.
Okay. This is a mixed success.
got a 4, a 1, and then a 5 on my gilded. So I'll take the gilded.
So Jack, you fire off that shot, pierces through the the eerily smiling face of this puppet, sort of mouth agape, just blows the entire thing off. A big splinter of wood hits you in the shoulder. You're gonna take a body.
Sure.
Luther, you sort of judo flip it, and you hear that sort of clang as it hits the floor. Augustus and Justine, you're immediately brought to reality.
Oh my god, what is that? What happened? What?
The statue just
Creepy,
tried to grab me.
fucking moving goal.
You guys really never see anything creepy, do you?
Yeah, but this is a fucking doll. So it's bad enough that it's creepy magic shit, but it's fucking creepy magic doll shit.
As he's saying that, you hear a soft jingle, almost like the ramping up of a kid's tune. And you can see just next to Jack is like this once colourfully painted box. And the music's ramping up in speed and volume.
The clockwork mannequin that I've like pinned to the floor, is that reacting to the music at all?
That's inanimate now.
Did you say we all noticed that?
Just to be safe, I'll take the bayonet out of his hand and throw it across the room.
Okay. So that'll be a control. So he does roll a 1.
Double 6s.
Oh shit. You hear the familiar tune, you've heard it in your youth, of a Jack in the Box. As it springs open in one swift movement, Luther throws the bayonet and pins its spring so it can't move. As this is all happening, Augustus, you all close ranks a little bit. Can you make a focus?
Augustus or all of us?
Just Augustus.
5.
This all happens very quickly. And you guys move to close ranks out of instinct to a bigger target is harder to fell. You're still holding the rod. And it's only when you get close enough to Luther that the mannequin stops.
Guys, I think this rod might be controlling them or have something to do with where their magic's coming from.
Well, that's wonderful. We are invincible.
Don't say that. I'm really tempted to throw this rod out the window right now. Just because you said that.
Why would you do such a thing? Have you no
'Cause I
compassion
like-
for those missing children?
Well, I would go get the rod, but I just like messing with people. It's a habit.
And we all love you for it, but right now you must not be funny. Right now is not a time to be a comedian. Right now is the time to survive. If we can control this rot, I mean, if the rot controls these things, maybe we can find a way where I don't know. We have to find the source, the proprietor, the owner, I suppose, of these beings.
The sick F word that is putting this stuff into kids' toys. We need to find him.
Absolutely.
Could I try and have a look at the rod, see if there's any distinct markings or like a maker's mark or anything like that on it?
Sure. Yeah, make focus.
Oh, that was lucky in some way. So I got a 6 on my gilded and double ones. So I'll take the gilded.
Good lord. There's no maker's mark, but it's very much a Fey design made by man. Most things that you know about Fey, they're not so much into forging giant metal rods. So that you know, well, you can guess that someone had a hand in making this.
It's definitely man-made. Well, that's all I can really tell you. Maybe it's someone who's a bit down on their luck, trying to get an upper hand in the world, and that's why they're using this. Don't have enough strength to take on the world themselves, so they're making puppets and taking kids to manufacture them, maybe. But not sure where we go from here.
I say we take these rods. Perhaps these lovely toys will follow us now that we have the rod of invisibility, and we surround up that scoundrel Theodore and we ask him the hard questions, no? Or am I maybe too perhaps impulsive?
I think that's impulsive.
Ah, such a bore.
I would agree that that's probably a good way forward. I'd also like to let's find this owner, and like he walks back into the other room to like get the picture off of the wall of the guy. But yeah, let's start with dealing with that, and then we'll go and speak to some suspects.
Why don't we take this painting over to that pub over the road? See if we can get some more information. Maybe see if our friend can join us there. I'm sure he's not far.
Probably been watching us this whole time.
He's been watching us the entire time. Like all of a sudden, looking around to see if
No.
Just
Let's go.
do you think
Yeah.
these things may follow us with the rod, or not really sure how that works? But
I mean, let's put it this way. As long as we have the rod, we're not going to get attacked. But if we leave with the rod, they may also leave and go attack other people.
Oh. Yes,
Yeah.
that would be a problem.
We do have the option of destroying all of the bugs, and then they won't be attacking other people.
It's true. If we just hold the rod and go destroy him, then they won't attack us as long as we have it. We
Okay.
can dismantle him pretty quickly that way.
What if you find little children inside?
I hope not, but that would just mean that we're on the right track.
You guys are dark. God.
That is a horrifying thought, Justine. But if there are children trapped inside, we get rid of them. Death releases them. You know, they're no longer trapped in toy form and stuff. So
Agreed.
Five
Okay,
Nights
we're-
at Freddy's.
destroying the
With,
shit out of these things.
With my background with engineering, could I try and just start to dismantle these mannequins and the music box just to see if I can safely take them apart in case there is anything in them? And also, if in that box, the music box, there's anything that stands out as I'm doing it.
Make a.
Guess it'd be a focus.
Yeah. Yeah. Make a focus.
That's double threes and one on my Gilded. So that's my last try I've got.
As you're taking these apart, as far as you can tell, there's nothing that would even make them animate. But you keep going, and especially with the Jack-in-the-Box, there's a moment where you take some gears apart and you can't quite get to a piece, so you take a glove off and you touch the bare metal.
Mm-hmm.
What does bleed feel like for you?
I guess it'd feel almost like frostbite to him, touching the cold metal. Be like a numbness going up his arm. Be like when you're working late into the night and you start getting pins and needles, that sort of thing. It'd like creep up his neck. Bring a cold shiver down his spine.
So you take a point and bleed.
Okay.
I'd say with that, you get the sense that whatever this rod is disrupts Fae. Not so much prevents them from being there, it just stops them from connecting.
Can I help you with that, Luther?
Sure thing. Have at it.
Splash.
Just metal shards across the ground.
Butt of the gun. Yeah.
You get the sense that Jack maybe isn't a fan of dolls.
I think he's perceptive, like enough to know that it's affected you, and there's some bleed within that as well. So, yeah, that's how I justify it.
We're getting very distracted by Rain's camera quality. It's very disturbing. I need to like put a like piece of tape over it or something.
I can shrink it so you can just see me.
No, it's just that when everyone logged it, I literally didn't have to. Yours perfectly fit in the box. It was just so satisfying. Anyway, what are we talking about? The bar. That's where you're going.
Oh,
Yeah. Just another idea with the rod. We could always take it back to the park see if anything happens there too. Where the other magic circle was. That ominous laugh doesn't help, that it would probably do something.
Given what Luther's just explained to us, I think this is it could be used for something else as well. This could be a useful tool going forward if we can find out a bit more about it. So, yeah, I'm willing to experiment with it a little bit if it does us any favors.
It's similar to things I was working on in a prior lifetime, but similar in design, but very different in construction. So maybe we can make something out of it. Who knows?
For now, I'll just attach it to my back with some of my rope that I carry on me.
Sure.
We head over to the bar.
There's sort of the contrast between that cold and almost soulless remains of a joyful time to the sleazy, almost grimy feel of the bar that you enter. Luther likes to call this place home. You guys are met with a couple of people sitting around, those that don't have families to go to. And behind the bar there's a fresh-faced, slightly receding hairline looking bartender. Doesn't seem to be doing his actual job.
I'm just going to walk up to the bar and just tap on the wood. Just go,
What?
round for my friends here.
Cool. And he just kind of wanders off.
If he's not going to help us, I'll just help myself.
A little time passes. He comes back. Just has an array of stuff that it looks probably the easiest thing he could make. Plonks
What
it
is
down.
he wearing?
Wouldn't you like to know? Just a shirt and tie.
Okay, excellent. So Jack is going to kind of like lean towards him a little bit. Okay, grab his tie and like pull him towards the team and like slide the picture across the bar. Okay, also some information.
Do I look like I was alive when that happened?
Well, considering it's your neighbour across the way, there must be some rumours, some stories about what happened to him, where he's gone now, or
Apparently died on some hunting trip, whatever the rich people do.
Huh?
Rich people, they like to go hunting.
Oh, yes, that
Never
is.
see the appeal, to be honest.
I don't think you ever will go hunting, by the looks of it.
Hmm.
And I take
I meant for bigger
whatever is
things.
made. I see that, and I look at his belly, and I take a sip, and I have almost a physical reaction.
Yeah, I call that one regret.
I see why. We have a raid. Hello.
We do have a raid. I don't often stop stream for that, but that is impressive. Welcome in, guys.
Hello.
Welcome in. Raid, Dabra folk. Anyway, back to the scene.
Oh, sorry. Back to the scene. Yes, distracted by the raid. I have a visceral reaction to the drink and. What did he say? It was remorse, no regret.
Yeah,
Yes.
got lemons in it.
Not my favorite fruit. I prefer passion fruit, but that is all alright. So you say you know nothing of your neighbor. You pay no attention. Has it always been closed as
Yeah.
long as you have run this establishment?
I've only been here a year, so
Ah, you're new to the area.
Yeah.
Do you have any regulars here that would be older, more knowledgeable about this area?
he just
Perhaps
kind
for
of like
us?
blankly stares and like points at Luther.
Oh, yes. Well, why did I not think of that? Thank you, I think.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he hasn't been here long enough to give us any info of what's happened across the road. That was quite a few years back. Nearly before my time, even. I'm just gonna take the drink he's made me and just slam it back, and then on the table and just go, "There's got to be something you can tell us.
Yeah.
People talk around here."
The drink is like weirdly salty, which no drink should ever be that salty. It's
Just
not really.
brine.
It's not really his thing.
Spit
He's
slurry.
He's just doing it for money.
Yeah.
As this is happening, the doors sort of blow open, and you once again see the fluttering coat as Theodore sort of shuffles in, warming his hands. You can see the soft rattle of an empty flask. And we pause for a moment as the scene shifts, and unbeknownst to our players, back in the toy factory, we sort of move between broken dolls and smashed puppets, as the place where the rod once sat, a soft frost crawls along the floor in a circle, stretching outwards, almost like the pattern of a snowflake. And a soft initial in cursive begins flowing. Just a gentle K before it melts. Theodore Kettering shuffles in, warming his hands from the cold. And he looks up, seeing the four of you. Simply... fuck.
Why fuck? Were you not expecting us to be here?
Oh, it's can't a man drink in peace?
What do you think we're trying to do? Just come join us in on our drinks.
Have you got anywhere at least?
Yes and no. We may have some questions for you, but we'd like you to start drinking first.
I mean, sounds pretty good to me.
Here, I have this. And I give my drink to him. It's lovely.
That is foul. Is that regret? And then he takes another sip.
I see you are a man of the finer tastes. What would you like to share, gentlemen, with our dear Theodore? Nothing.
Well, we have this picture, and I want to see if he recognizes anyone from the picture, or if he sees himself.
Make a read.
6.
Fuck me. He cannot lie for shit.
Why do you think I wanted him to start drinking first?
Yeah, he's pretty buzzed. There is a twinge of recognition. So that, like, trying to stop his wide eyes. You know quite a lot about Theodore, mainly because he's usually the one arresting you, or was until you joined Candela. He was too old at that point to be this familiar with a titan of toys. But there's something about the way that the man holds himself in the photo. There's like a... Growing up on the street, there's... You can spot the periphery, even when they aren't even in uniform. The same goes for soldiers. There's a straight shoulder, almost like a smug head tilt, as if they carry the weight of the people they fight for. You surmise perhaps he fought with him.
I mean, it makes sense that we fought. He tried to arrest me, or did arrest me, on several occasions.
There's something in the way that Theodore, even in his constantly inebriated self, something in the way he walks. That same marching. And that coat isn't periphery standard. You know, you've seen enough of them. That's an officer's coat. That's a coat from the war.
Theo, do we happen to go way back? More from the first time you arrested me?
Why'd you want to know?
There's just something familiar about you. Something that I can't quite place my finger on.
Right, yes, I knew him. He was my CO.
So you must know a lot about that toy factory then. Sure, you two stayed friends.
Not when he started making money, no. He just paid me to keep him informed at first.
Informed of what?
Comings and goings, rivals. anything the periphery found about the old fair? Any of the unusual shit?
You wouldn't have happened to told him anything about the kidnappings, would you?
No, he was long dead by then. Not my doing.
It's funny, I didn't even ask if you did it or not.
No, he was the first. We were in a
first
trench.
kid.
What?
We were in a trench. And they stopped the war for the festivities. They said we could play a game and put aside all the hate and the fear. Start having some joy for once. My CO, he said he found something that might win us the war. Something deep, something old. Didn't pan out.
Did he ever talk to you or show you a rod? Mention any sort of magic use?
No, he didn't loop me in with... Once he started making money, I was just a soldier again.
You sound quite tired of being a soldier.
Tired of life. I can't help feeling that this is somehow my fault.
Your fault, how?
I saved his life. If I hadn't, maybe the kids would still be here.
I'm just thinking to myself, I have too many thoughts just trying to wrap my head around all the new information that we've learned.
Justine, I kind of butt in and I say, perhaps it is the language barrier, but what do you mean he died, but you saved him and now the kids are missing? I am not following. Could you please explain it to me as if I would be dumb? As if, of course.
There was a battle, and he was shot, and I carried him back to the medics. If I hadn't, he would have died. But then later on, when he started getting rich and people liked his toys, he kept mentioning that game. He said he found something in the dark. Something joyful. He said it was the peace that brought it. He said that if he could just put a little bit of that peace, that happiness into the world, then everyone would be better off. And why not start with the impressionable young minds?
So you knew right from the beginning that your compatriot, your CO, would be behind this,
No,
though dead.
not until you brought me to that park.
And why did you not tell us then?
Could be sure, because that's where I buried him.
You realize in how much danger you are putting innocent children by withholding this information from us. Have
Yeah.
you no honor?
I lost that a long time ago.
Well, that is no way a gentleman should act.
Find me a gentleman, I'll show you how he acts.
You didn't bury him by that tree, did you?
That's what he wanted.
Oh boy.
You know, if you arrest us now, even if we don't find the kids, we're turning you in with us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
So with all this new information that you neglected to tell us earlier, is there anything else you might have missed? And as I say that, I'm just going to grab him by the scruff of his neck and just say, you better talk, or your face is going into this bar.
Make a sway.
How does it work if I have no drive?
You just roll once, I think.
Yeah, you just roll once.
That is a 2.
Did you fight in the war, mate? Because I don't think it will go your way.
On the wall, but I can handle myself.
Jack is from behind him, going to put his hands on his shoulders and kind of like leaning in that kind of like detective from behind way and say, when did you bury him? Because you've made the connection between him and these latest child nappings.
Well over a year ago, I didn't think it was important. Can't hear you, Cardiff.
What happened a couple of months ago?
You tell me. No idea.
What happened is people started going missing, and you, to cover your own arse, stayed silent.
I didn't know it was anything to do with this.
But you knew at some point,
Yeah, when you showed me the park.
and you stayed silent.
This buffoon is not going to help us any further. His head is in his axe. He does not have any honor. He has nowhere to live. I say we dump the bloke and we go and banish this evil toy maker somewhere or another. I don't care if I have to personally bury him out of that tree. We have to get rid of him.
It might be better if he shows us where the body is so that we know where to dig.
Good
and then we
idea.
can get rid of him.
Okay. You hear that, buffoon? You are coming with us.
Okay.
I say we go.
You guys leave the bar. That bartender's sort of leaning. Yep. Well, bastards.
I toss him a few silver that I stole from him, but let's just not
I
even
knew that was
worry
good.
about that part.
The circle returns to Crestfield Park. It's like late afternoon at this point. There's like the night is fast, thickened with tension. As you enter, you see the snow falls slower, almost unnaturally. They like linger in the air before hitting the ground, and they don't melt. The faint light of the gas lamps is dimmer, flickering against, struggling against some unforeseen force. now that night is coming. You see reflected on the fear in Kettering's face. At the center of the park, the circle grows brighter. The circle reformed, its glyphs fully illuminated with an eerie blue and white light. And you can see the tinge of frost spread around whatever green was remaining, creeping outward like a living thing. A soft hum resonates in the air. It's almost musical, but the notes are distorted and unsettling. That sound is punctuated by a faint giggle. Laughter, overlapping voices that rise and fall like an otherworldly choir.
I would like to take out my occult gear, occult supplies, sorry, one of the gear, if my cat allows me to see it. And I imagine that in the past I would have helped regular spirits move on to the next life. Akin to exorcism, not exactly the same. And I am not sure I'm almost sure it might not be sufficient for a case as this, but I would like to keep it clutched in my hands nonetheless to see if I can help banish anything when we get there.
Sure. Make a sense.
Okay. That's a 1. That's 4 1s.
Okay. You open the door. And as you do, it's almost like your eyesight shifts. You can see the symbols pulsing rhythmically like the heartbeat of that force. The glow brightens and dims in time. There's tendrils of frost that actually rise from the ground, forming jagged spikes that crack and reform like an arcing globe at the center of the tree. It reminds you of things Armand used to give you on Yuletide, these soft glass orbs that would shimmer when you shook them. As you're standing there, you can feel the now stable portal to some icy domain solidifying its foothold in Newfaire. You can feel even the energy of those around you being drawn in. Joy, fear, despair to power this ritual. The rest of you watch as Justine, head tilted, begins to float ever so gently. An icy frost tendril lingering from her heart to the center of the tree.
I attempt to run up and grab her and use my behind me to try and stop whatever's going to happen.
I want to stab the stick through the tendril.
Okay. Luther, as you watch that link being made, you shove yourself in front. And it's almost like it's passing through you to get to her. You're using behind me.
Mm-hmm. It's a preemptive measure.
You take 2 marks and bleed.
down now. So that put me to a scar and I'm at 3.
Yep, so you are incapacitated at the moment. So you watch as Luther pushes himself in the way, that tendril hits him and he drops to the floor. As that's happening, you watch as a figure makes itself formed at the base of the tree. At first you see translucent skeleton that, as the frost begins to bind itself, takes more and more form. It lacks any defined feature, but it's definitely humanoid. And it begins moving towards you. Justine, as this is all happening, you feel that joy returning to you. Just being a part and near the portal is, and you can feel someone through it. And you feel happy to be in its presence. As that's happening, you get a flash of this figure, tall and long-limbed claws and a wooden mask, painted like that of a festive doll. You read about this once, long time ago. When you were first getting into the occult, you heard various things, and because Armand passed away near Yuletide, you focused around that area. This creature is called a Criskin. It came, well, the rumor was that, well, the rumor came from the other side during the war. They said he brought gifts for children to spread joy. You're now getting the sense that that was perhaps not the truth. And perhaps he was spreading his essence. You watch Luther drop to the ground. That wraith is coming towards you.
Did I take any bleed damage? Oh, okay.
Luther took it.
Tethered because of that icy tentacle, or am I free to move?
No, he stopped it.
Okay. I panic a little bit. This is too close for comfort. This is too much of... I see too much of Armand's passing in my head, and I... Luther, Jack, I... shoot! And I beg them to shoot whatever is coming for us. I have no sense at this point.
Jack
I'm guessing I'm unconscious.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Augustus, Jack, shoot!
Jack is gonna step forward, like really, like calmly, and start shooting, but also kind of like trying to pull Luther back to like tactical withdrawal, tactical relocation, type situation. So, yeah, shooting at the wooden mask thing in particular because it's another
let's do
magic
a
bolt.
let's do a control. But this is a hard difficulty.
Shot.
High stakes. That's what I mean.
I will use a drive to add a
Sure.
dice. That's a 4.
You fire off and you watch it sink into the essence of this thing, and part of it crumbles, but it's still moving. You're dragging Luther back. You sort of slip and fall a little bit. You're both sort of prone as you're scrambling back.
I still have the needle, right? I haven't done anything with it yet.
You haven't told me such.
Can I throw the needle at the creature?
Of course. Make a control.
Six.
Yeah.
I got a 2 and a 6.
Describe to me what happens.
Kind of not knowing exactly what I'm doing, but I just take the needle from my back and then I just point it right at the mask and I just huck it as hard as I can, just trying to aim for the vast majority of the body or the precise part where I would hit it.
You used to enjoy conning the periphery into dart games. Pretending you were terrible when you could throw a bullseye without even looking. And that's what happens. You're looking at Jack and Luther scrambling, you peer at Justine, and in one swift movement, you launch that needle. And it hits the wraith in the chest, and you just see it explode in this blue light. The ritual symbol dulls slightly, it's still pulsing, almost like it's still ramping for something, or still active. But you're safe. Nothing else seems to be appearing.
We need to close this connection, but I have no idea how to close this connection. This is way beyond my scope. I have never dealt with anything like this. I don't know what to do. The Lunter is on the ground. Oh. Theodore, what do we do?
You look ahead. As you turn to look at where Theodore might be, he's not there. And as you're looking forwards,
Squirmy bastard.
you notice that long, dark coat sort of silhouetted against this light as he grabs the spike. And you watch him step into the circle. And everything stops. The snow stops falling, paused midair. The pulsing stops. And you can see the frost slowly creeping up part of his leg. You have a moment to potentially regroup whilst this is happening and wake Luther up. How are you going to do that?
Can I go over and slap him?
I was gonna propose the same thing.
Think about while she's down. I get it.
I think we're gonna do a not Candela thing, and we're gonna do some rollies, which is you both roll a d6. Rain and Ben, and whoever gets the higher one. So if Rain beats you, you're awake. If you beat him, you're unconscious.
Okay.
Come on, another 6.
That's a 6 as well.
I got another 6.
Do it again.
That's a 4.
5.
Nice.
Nice.
We're going to take a quick 5-minute break.
Yes.
Luther, you awake in a start up. We're going to... So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about what your scar would present, and also for you to consider where you're going to move your point from. Because that's, when you take a scar, you have to move it from one place to another.
Is it like you take it away from like nerve, intuition, cunning, that sort of thing?
Yeah. And
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
I
move
already
it.
did that. Yeah, I already did. It's all good.
So we're going to take 5 minutes, regroup, get some beverages, have a pee, and we'll be
Like-
back in a little bit.
This Coca-Cola are not a sponsor for today.
Oh my god.
This Coke is always the best.
I should preface this. This is like an
Word.
ongoing thing with these guys, but anyway, we'll be right back. Wrong campaign.
It's not Saturday like it.
No, but they're right next to each other, so you know, is what it is. So I don't know why we can't see Emerald.
Well, I don't know either.
Emerald.
Did you move her camera when you...
No, I don't think so. Why
We
can't we
apologize
go-
for the technical difficulties.
Yeah,
This
why
is
can't we
just
go...
due to the not a sponsor.
Why can't we go one day without it not screwing us over? Just one.
The wraith
wouldn't-
just took me. I'm no longer here. I'm sorry. The wraith just took me. I'm just no longer here.
It nearly took me.
Hey, there I am.
She's alive.
I
She's a
am.
maniac
It's a-
on the dance floor. She dances like
Well,
no
we're
one has
fixing
danced
everything.
before.
Thank you, guys, for being here. I hope you enjoy Candela. We are currently a lot. This is the first time any of us played, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
First for us.
So it's nice to be able to try it out in a one shot like this. So thank you, Ike, for hosting the one shot.
What's
Much
up?
appreciated.
That's me.
Hey.
Hey.
And we have some image again. Oh, it's really weird not to talk with a French accent, with a crappy French accent. I really gotta
Oh,
focus
wait.
again.
Oh, he on
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're back.
Alright, good.
We actually gained viewers then. That was weird.
Let's
So-
see if they
Power of
stay now
technical
the image
difficulties.
back.
There is an eerie quiet as everything stands still. Luther, you wake. And what does your scar look like?
It'll be like sort of like when you get like open heart surgery. You know, you got that scar on your sternum, and it will be like frostbitten, and it's going to cause him to try and focus more on his surroundings rather than trying to fight everything. So he's going to be a bit more cautious.
I would go as far to say that there's like a sense as well. You've got like that bleed still lingering sort of gives you this almost aura, so you can adjust a lot better. You guys are sort of congregated around Luther as he wakes. Still within enough distance to see Theo standing completely still. There's no wind, There's no sound. It just stops.
Anybody else weirded out by the fact that everything just stopped?
A little, yes. Well,
Okay.
not a little, a lot, actually.
Not as much as I was by the dolls, but a little bit.
Are you alright, Luther?
Definitely not the wind out of me, I'll tell you that much.
We have to be careful. Whatever happens next, I don't know if it will be as merciful as it has been on Luther for not taking it to the other side. Whatever sort of defensive things you have, keep them close to you. I very carefully go towards the frozen Theodore, and I do not touch him. I do not dare touch him, but I see if I can walk around him and truly see no signs of life.
There's a point where you are face to face. And as you're looking to see a sign of life in his eyes, there is some. And quite mirroring the opening shot, there is a flicker. As you watch in the reflection of the icy glare, you see a shrouded, hunched figure and a mask with a smiling grin before it fades.
I think whatever is causing this has fully gone into Theodore. I look around to see if the rest of the world is frozen. I look for birds flying over.
That stillness, you can feel it fading. But rather than the snow falling down, it begins to head towards you. Or rather, the tree behind you. And you can feel the air being drawn in very slowly towards the tree. If this thing is a portal, then something is coming. And you see the runes that were buried in the ice begin to float until they're about eye level.
No, stop floating. Oh, mon Dieu. We cannot figure out now where that shot is buried. We have to be able to do something. I pull out my occult supplies again, and I just, as if I'm trying to keep it away, I just put it out in front of me, and I start muttering certain incantations that I learned to help spirits pass on to the other side.
Sure.
In hopes of doing something.
Describe to me what these rituals do, as far as you know.
They're sort of a beacon. They're meant to guide, to shepherd lingering souls into the afterlife. So the ritual itself is really just channeling through my supplies. The sort of mystical forces around to open the gateway a little bit further. To allow a safer passage, a more easy passage for the spirits to go to the other side.
Make a sense roll for me.
Okay. Woohoo, gilded 6.
Ooh, fuck yes.
That's better than 4 ones.
As you're doing this, you can hear those voices returning, but they seem so wrong. And they're just repeating themselves. Your fear is exquisite. Such fragile lights, snuffed so easily. You cannot stop what has already begun. I have many gifts to give. And it just keeps going and becomes more guttural and like resonant.
Gifts are not welcome here. You can take them and bring them back to where you came from. We do not want your gifts. We absolutely look the gift horse in the mouth and it stinks. It smells of onion. I do not want it here. Go back.
You're channeling this through you. And you feel so attuned to it. And you can feel you're stopping whatever this ritual is. You're stopping it from coming through again. And there's a moment where one of the runes gets too close to you and you throw a hand out and it erupts in flame. And the portal drops. There's a gasping breath as Theodore falls to the floor, and you can see the entirety of his left leg is ice. But he's alive.
Is he awake?
No.
Okay, well, one step at a time. I kneel next to Theodore and I make sure that he is well alive, and I feel, that's weird, his icy leg.
Say less.
And I suspect to find some bleed, so I mentally prepare to resist that. And what am I looking for? I don't know. I kind of pull back and I look around to see if I can find any sign of perhaps disturb around. Like what I'm thinking, that gentleman was buried a year ago, so no fresh dirt, right? But maybe some shrubbery around it has been older and some things have been moved. So perhaps even after a year, I can find a trace of a burial site or a memento, a little cross, a little stone.
As you're looking around, you do notice some upturned earth. And then a short distance, where Augustus had felled the wraith. You know you saw bones at one point. But it's more,
Oh.
if you put a crack in a dam, you can't take it back.
Okay.
The portal is fading. The runes are dull, lifeless. And there's that moment that you all sort of exhale in relief. I can already see you smiling, Cardiff. As you do, there's that cloud of frosted vapor as you watch the tree splits down the middle. And there's this shimmering blue tear in reality. You stop something from coming through. But as you're looking through that tear, there are some cages off to one side. And some children. Still alive.
I look to my companions to see if they see it too. And I kind of look for verbal or non-verbal
I do
confirmation.
see them.
Do we see
I
them?
see the kids.
Yeah.
I think there's an understanding between Jack and Justine that we're going through to rescue these kids. Like, it doesn't even need to be said.
How far?
Like eyes.
How far off in this portal are they? Are they like quite far off in the distance, or are they like near the front?
Close enough for you guys to be able to distinctly tell what it is.
Augustus, you've got some rope in your kit, right?
Yeah, I do. If we can get the kids out, I'm pretty sure the monster's weak to fire, so luckily there's this perfectly split tree right here too.
Okay.
If someone's hold on to one end of it, I can dive in, try and get the kids out.
Sure.
You're
I
not
roll
going
out the rope.
We're coming with.
I would like to go too. I would love to hold the rope, but I am a petite little woman, so perhaps it is easier to keep me back.
Sure. Whatever you think's best.
Okay, I suppose we go to the other side, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah.
You step through.
So,
The sound of the swirling air fades behind you, replaced by this eerie stillness. The camera pans across this icy, jagged wasteland, shrouded in shadow. Spires of ice rise unnaturally from the ground, twisting upward like clawed fingers. The air is bitterly cold, and your breath once more visible as you feel the frost creep at your lungs. Faint light reflects off the icy surfaces, and you now realize that standing in this tear, the perspective was warped slightly. The cages hang, suspended from structures of ice, and inside, very much alive. Missing children shiver, staring blankly ahead. They don't even notice you're there. Almost as if their emotions, their fear, their despair, their faintest traces of joy have been fed on.
Little ones.
Do this quickly and hope we don't meet Mab. Sorry, Justine.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's I need to immediately start walking towards the nearest one. Let's get these out of here and just pray, fingers crossed, whatever it takes, that we don't meet the Queen. Shouldn't have mentioned her name before. Let's get going.
You make your way over. You realize that with some help, you could boost each other, or two of you, above the cages so you can untie them.
If anyone wants to get on my shoulders, go for it.
Well, I was going to suggest you get on my shoulders, because pretty sure you're going to be better at lock picking than me if there's locks on these cages.
Fair point, but I usually just break things. I'll give it a go either way. So I'm getting on his shoulders to try and get one of the kids out of the cages.
Sure. How are you going to try and get them out?
I'm going to use my criminal gear and lockpicking set to see if I can pick the lock.
Nice. Does it say what thing it uses?
It does not. No, it literally just says criminal gear. So I'm just assuming that in my burglary equipment, I would have a lockpicking set.
I'm going to go with hide, because it says sleight of hand.
Okay. Three.
There's only a couple of things holding these cages up, and you notice that they all seem to converge on one point. And there's a moment where you unlock part of it, and as you do, you slip slightly, and out of reflex you grab onto the bar of the cage, and your weight pulls it slightly. This one comes crashing down. The kids are fine, but Augustus, you take a mark in body as you are almost crushed underneath the weight.
Not the first time that's happened, but I'll learn one day.
However, with the weight released from that one, there's an imbalance, and the other two are slowly losing grip.
Can I hang on to this one so that it still has weight to it?
It's on the floor with you.
Oh, yeah. Any other ideas how to get the other two out?
Well, if it's imbalanced, wouldn't they be going down now? Wouldn't they be easier to reach now that there's one weight off? Am I misinterpreting? Let's take a crack at the other ones to take them, to free them completely.
So another sleight of hand or
Mhm.
hide?
Now the hide.
5.
You quickly manage to safely lower the other two and unlock them. The children don't move.
I shake him. Come on, little one, there has to be some light inside still on.
You think about it, he's feeding off of their fear, so he probably put him in fear paralysis.
Oh, the poor things. Well, we have to at least get them outside of here.
Exactly. I think get them as far away as possible.
I will go with them. I don't want to send them out on their own. And I will gather like a mother goose all the children, who are probably almost as tall as Justine, and sort of try and wrangle them through the portal back.
You get within an arm's length. And then there's a vibration through the floor. All of the children freeze in place. And you hear this dull scraping. You hear laughter. It grows louder and more distorted. It's almost like it blocks out part of the light as this entity crawls around the corner. Is now you see it in full form, a towering figure of frost and tattered, shadowy cloak with like an icy frost on it. It's gaunt and its limbs are too long and it seems to shimmer, almost like its edges seem to reflect, like when you crack a mirror. Whatever, if it does have a face, is obscured by a cracked porcelain wooden mask, its frozen features locked in this unnerving grin. And scraping along the ice, these long claws, cutting in like a blade. It's got arcing horns, and you see this swish of a tail.
Shit.
That must be Chriskin.
I think so.
Step between
Panic.
the Crispin and the kids, and I'm going to try and shoot it in the face.
Sure, make a control for me.
Am I still outside the portal at this point, or would I have
It's up
got
to
in
you.
with the others? I guess I'd be in there, because
Sure.
then we didn't need a rope to come through, so I'd probably be doing the same. Just standing between them, just ready to jump if I need to, sort of thing.
That is a 2.
You let off a shot, hits it in the shoulder. There is some visible pain as you hear the screech that echoes through the ice, almost like bouncing the sound waves off. And you watch that shimmering edge. And it's almost in like a film where you get the perspective wrong and it's really far away and then it's right in front of your face. But there's two of them. And you feel that clawed hand around your neck, lifting you off the floor. You feel the claws begin to pierce through your throat. You're going to take 2 points in body.
And down.
I think we need to get out of here, gang.
Mm-hmm. I also begin to more and more realize through my panic that it feeds off of fear and joy, somewhat. And I think we have to have neither. So, however impossible it may seem in my current panicked state, I try to be nothing.
Okay. I'm gonna have you make a sway against yourself. So you're not trying to command the creature, you're trying to convince yourself that you are unafraid. And you have no joy, because Armand is not here.
I'm going to add a drive. Oh, it's a 3.
It's like you're repeating it in your head. And there's a thing that your family used to say, that you were never whole without your other half. And you've been in fear ever since you lost your other half. That's not something you can convince yourself that will go away. And you feel that creeping dread as this figure is tilting its head at you. You're going to take a mark in brain. As you are exhausting yourself to try and convince something that's impossible.
Seeing how that's affecting Justine, can I attempt a Hail Mary of bravery and try and knock the creature down to try and disrupt it from trying to look
Sure.
at the others?
You're saying physically run
Yeah,
into
like just literally run at it and shoulder barge it, sort of thing.
Yeah. So obviously this will be a strike,
Mm-hmm.
and this is high stakes.
That's 1 plus. That's 1 plus gilded. Oh, that's a 6 on my gilded.
Ooh.
You slam into this thing, and it's almost like this whole time this inescapable creature was never tangible until you see Luther collide with it, and it goes careening into the ice, which cracks underneath the weight, and you watch both of them hit the deck. The sheer weight of this thing renders it slower to get up as you see Luther rise first.
And as I get up first, can I pull out a pickaxe from my excavation tools and just try and ram it through its shoulder into the floor to try and pin it down still?
Absolutely, you may. So that is a strike.
Okay, so that's 1 plus gilded again. That's a 6 on gilded again.
You slam that pickaxe in and fix it into the ice, and you can feel the entire thing begin to crack underneath you. That, I don't know if you've ever heard it, but it's like a breaking of it reverberates inside of you. It's like breaking your own bones. It's this thunderous crack as it begins to split and move in a spider web.
I'm just going to shout over to the others as I've pinned it down. Get the kids out now.
I hesitate no longer, and I yank the children through the portal as fast as I can. Oh, pardon, I forgot I was French for a second. I yank them through, and I will see what happens.
As Justine does this, I want to go slap Jack to try and wake him up.
Do the rollies. The new thing we've added to Candela.
I got 3. Ooh.
Oh.
Amazing. There's something about Augustus's... He's quick with his hands, but they're like the sizes of shovels when they hit you in the face. And what are you dreaming about before you come to? And what does your scar look like?
Dreaming about, like, I'm just seeing lots of like faces scroll through, like random strangers, people that like I've investigated, just like all like career type stuff, like people that I've encountered, just face after face after face. And I think the scar will look like beads of piercings around his neck where he was strangled. So it's almost like a necklace, but it's embedded into the skin because of the claws going in.
Cool.
Jack, sorry for slapping you so hard. I just needed you to wake up.
It's fine. I'm pretty sure you enjoyed it, so it's okay.
Maybe a wee bit.
But you're awake.
Right, yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure we need to get out of here and the kids.
I imagine at this point Justine will be at the portal with the kids whilst I'm holding the guy down.
I'm going to like swan dive with all the children on my hands. Through that portal, I'm out of here.
Throwing the kids just like
Go long. Make a move.
Right.
Make a move for me to try and
Oh, I'm good
get
at
all
that.
of them out. You said
It's
so
a
yourself. You're the
3.
same height.
Yeah. A 3.
It is a partial. So you tumble out. You're going to take a point in body as you hit the floor. The children are out, which leaves the fellas left inside. Luther, you can feel the Criskin stirring, and you can feel that ice is moving.
Gonna say to shout across to the others. I don't think this ice is gonna hold much longer, so I'm gonna do what I can. If I get out, I get out, and I'm just gonna pull out my revolver, spin around the canister, and just fire off a shot into Crispin's head.
Cool. Yeah, make
Follow
a
me.
control for me.
That's a 6 and a 5. Non-gifted.
You hit it in the face, and the porcelain mask cracks, much like the ice underneath it. It stops moving for a second. You know it's not dead. Not something this old or powerful. But it's not moving for the time being.
The way I look at it, lads, we take it down here, or I've slowed it down enough that we can get back and regroup. What do you think?
If we get back, regroup, we can grab the needle, and then if it does jump through the portal, I know that does quite a bit of damage to it.
Time turf advantage is.
Okay. I'll proceed to try and make way to the portal, following the others.
Yeah? I need everyone to make a move.
Just one dice for me.
Literally, as I just moved
Well,
my
that is a
point out of me.
I got a 3.
So I fail.
Okay.
It's a 2.
Okay. Augustus comes careening out of the portal. Upside down. Comically so. Just hits part of the tree on his way out. You're gonna take a point in body. Jack, you're still woozy. And you don't injure yourself, but you're struggling to gain momentum to close that distance to the portal. And as you turn around, you watch as Luther steps and the floor gives way. And he falls into the ice.
Try to catch him. Like,
He's
grab
a
an arm or
good
something.
15, 20 feet away from you. Because he was trying to stop.
Mhm. Okay. Turning my attention away from that, then if he's not nearby, I think Jack will take a knee and like just basically covering fire against the creature to try and give Rufus time to get out and catch him up.
How would Luther try and get himself out of this situation?
Is it like opened up into like a chasm type thing, or is it like
No, you're in water.
in water? Have I still got the pickaxe on me, or is it like embedded in the guy at this point? That I can't
I would
use
leave
it?
that down to whether or not you would risk taking it back out.
Okay. Is he like leant up against the edge, like where he's like pinned slightly, or are we like separated at this point completely?
I'd say, it's you've hit it with a pickaxe, fired that shot, turned, and taken a couple of steps and fallen through your chaos of cracking ice.
Is it like in a tangible distance that I could try and jump to, or like swim my way across?
Yeah,
Or
I'd
is
say
it
that
quite a
the
distance?
hole that you fell through was literally you making your weight cracking the last bit. So
Okay.
you sort of graze your arms as you fall down, but you're in
Okay.
reaching distance.
So in that case, I'll like pull myself up to where the ice level is, and then kind of like starfish out to spread my weight, and try to like get back up to my feet after like moving away from the cracked area a little bit.
So make a move for me. And this is very high stakes.
is. Oh, that's a 2. I just remembered I could have added other stuff with drive points, but well.
You pull yourself up, and as you're sort of starfish, you sort of clench that hand into the ice. You can feel, even just being near the Criskin, the frostbite pulling at your fingertips as you sort of wrench yourself up. There is a clawed hand that grabs your ankle. You manage to shake it off, but there's this dull pain radiating upwards.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take a mark in body. In bleed, sorry. That was my fault.
Bleed.
Yeah.
I'll continue to try and make my way across. That's all I can really do.
Mm-hmm. So it's
Another
just one
move.
more move.
I'll add a drive to this as well, just so I get 2 dice. There's 2 3s.
You sort of, as you feel that clawed hand, you sort of turn around and you're scrabbling backwards as you watch that long limb. It's still pinned by the pickaxe, but it's just reaching further and further out to you. You can see now as you look down that frostbite is still moving up. But you scramble to your feet and you are sprinting towards the portal, and you hit Jack midway as he's sort of waiting and trying to cover fire. You both come careening out. Jack, I need you to roll me a d6.
That's 5.
You almost shoot Luther. There's like a graze as you feel the searing heat just pass by your cheek. But you both tumble out.
That was close.
As they tumble out, I assume the portal is still open, right? I assume that from my research, I would realize that something as old and ancient as the Crispin we wouldn't be able to kill it. So I think, or I fear, we would not be able to kill it. So
Yeah.
I would like to try and close the portal to see if we can just stop them. And I think... Oh... Okay, I'm thinking either smash the runes, but other side, if I can attune and help spirits to the other side, maybe I can close the connection. I think. Okay, I'm going to try to use my spiritual connection as an occultist to try and close the portal.
Make a sense.
That's a gilded 6, baby.
You're sort of forcing this energy to close, but there's something else pushing back at you. And as you're doing this, there's a 20 seconds of you forcefully trying to close this thing until you see a hand touching the edge of the portal that long, clawed hand. You would be able to close it if the Criskin wasn't fighting.
Okay.
Can I pick up the needle and try and stab the Criskin's hand that I can see?
Sure. Yeah, make a strike.
Oh, I dropped that one. I'm not going to count it. 4.
Cool. Mixed success. Okay. You slam this thing into its hand. And with Justine forcing the portal closed, there's like this reverberating blue light that just seems to be shoving this tear even closer, and it becomes this small circular thing where the only thing left is where the hand is. And with you shoving that back, you can see it closing. That magic travels up through the rod, and you can feel it. You're going to take another mark of bleed.
Okay.
As part of the metal infuses itself into your hand. And the rest breaks.
No more fingerprints.
Yes.
The portal is closed.
We have to get these children back to wherever they come from. I don't know. Perhaps a hospital. They are very unresponsive still. And I guess that sorry buffoon on the floor, we should probably also get him to the hospital.
I mean, we can keep Theo there. We should definitely take the kids, though.
I don't care about your personal vendetta against the policeman. We still have to aid him, okay? You can exact avenge another way. Perhaps mentally tease him a little bit when he is in the bed.
How about we prop him up by the fire at that pub around the corner? That'll thaw him out, right?
Yeah. Give him a nice cup of revenge for him to drink when he wakes up.
Do you think the city of Newfaire would really miss this tree if we set it on fire?
I mean, split
We
in
can
half.
just say it was an accident.
Oops! It caught on fire. I say, let's create some lightning. I'm not really a pyromaniac, so I don't actually have anything. Oh, I might have a lighter.
I have matches.
Yeah.
I also have matches, but I don't know how many matches it's going to take to burn this tree when it's freezing outside.
It's probably gonna be a lot of matches. Oh, maybe we can get some of that vile stuff from across the street with the bar and douse it in regret and light it on
Ooh.
fire.
Would the excavation tools only be like a pickaxe and a shovel, or would there be other stuff, do you reckon? I was thinking, like, would I have an axe included in that or not?
I
I
would
think
say
there's
that
TNT in there.
your pickaxe would have been maybe like a your thing, but there would have been other smaller tools for sure.
Okay. I was just curious if I had something I could like carve into the tree with to try and make like a hole.
About getting stuff from the pub.
A trowel.
Jack pulls out his flask, sniffs it, goes and pours that on the tree. It's probably quite close to pure alcohol.
Yeah. There is like a faint waft of like
Ethanol.
nutmeg and cinnamon. It seems like the only good creation your bartender made you, and you're just pouring it out.
Or pouring one out for the wraith,
Yeah.
literally.
The camera sort of pans out as the streets of Newfaire would be still if not for the faint crackling new bonfire in the middle of the park. the faint hum of gas lamps barely piercing the night. Snow crunches underfoot as you all approach the towering iron gates of your chapter house. The sigil of Candela Obscura faintly visible under a layer of ice. Inside, warmth spills from the hearth like a warm hug. In the central hall, the glow casting long shadows across the heavy wood paneling. We watch as the children sit, now wrapped in blankets, huddled near the fire, their faces pale and their eyes wide with lingering fear. Each clutch a small token, a doll, a ribbon, a piece of home. Not tainted by the Criskin, as though grounding themselves in the mundane after their ordeal. You know that these children will be taken care of, and some, the unlucky few, might turn out to be just like you. You're ushered into a private chamber, away from the children and the comforting hum of the chapter house. Heavy oak doors creak shut behind you, muffling the faint crackle of the fire outside. Archivist Damaris Van, an older, sharp-eyed woman with streaks of silver in her tightly bound hair, awaits you. He stands beside a desk piled with open tomes and magical implements, her lips pressed into a firm line. She regards you with a mix of relief and caution. Calm but weighted. The children are safe, thanks to your efforts. Newfaire owes you a debt it will never understand, but the balance remains fragile. She gestures to the rod, or what remains of it. This Criskin is a creature of cunning and cruelty, but such things do not arise in isolation. This portal it created, this domain, was not merely a tool, it was an invitation. We must ask ourselves what else may have heard the call. You've been marked. Whether you see it or not, these things leave scars. Remember that. You did well tonight. The Criskin's defeat is not the end, only the closing of one chapter. Something stirred it from its slumber. Whatever that force is, still remains. The camera follows you as you leave the chamber. You see some other members linger by the fire, their hams stretched towards the warmth. And in the distance, faint and distorted, there is the faintest echo of laughter. Light, fleeting, impossible. But the quiet doesn't last. A sharp knock echoes from the chapter house, a heavy front door, breaking the silence. It's deliberate, too forceful to be casual. And you might all exchange uneasy glances before Archivist Damaris gestures for it to be opened. The door creaks on its hinges, revealing a figure, silhouetted against the pale light of now the oncoming dawn. A hobbling Inspector Theodore Kettering steps inside, his dark uniform flecked with snow and his expression grim. You notice one of his eyes is dark and bloody, a mark of his corruption. His eyes flick to the children and then back to you. I know my sins, but you'll want to see this. He steps aside, revealing two more officers waiting outside, and between them they carry a small bundle wrapped in thick cloth. The edges of the fabric glisten. Kettering signals them to bring it in. As the bundle is unwrapped, the contents are revealed, a large, jagged piece of black rock. Its surface etched with faint glowing runes, the air around it feels colder. And yet, the object is warm. We found this in the warehouse district. Worker said it just appeared. They tell me they've already had 3 men collapse just being near it. One's still coughing blood. I'm fine though. Damaris steps closer, her face pale as the sharp eyes take in the artifact. Her breath fogs the air despite the roaring fire behind it. She doesn't touch it, instead drawing back as if the thing might lash out at any moment. It's not from the Criskin. I guess you're not done. And that's where we're going to end the circle of empty spaces and places. Well, thank you very much for joining me on this merry, merry Christmas, not Eve. It's been fun, and
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys, but we might have to bring the circle back at some point. Maybe with new members, old members, who knows?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it would.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Excellent.
I managed to get my run into danger illumination key off. That was amazing.
But as
Just
always,
Remind me to.
if
Go
you
ahead.
do want to join the crew, just join the Discord, jump in, say hi, become one with the community. We run games all of the time, and like I said, the Friday crew are going to be live come the new year. Our Saturday crew are still there, unfortunately. Our Tuesday crew are sorting out their schedule, and we've got more one-shots coming. So I will see you all guys very soon, as in on Friday. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank you.
Say bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for hanging out.